What are some huge green flags that are often overlooked? When you're not afraid to disagree with them because you know they'll actually listen rather than just hurting you. Edit. Thanks for the gold and silvers, kind strangers. Complimenting others behind their backs. When someone admits to their mistake, owning up to it and does not make an excuse for failing, but trying to better themselves through that experience, being positive about it. That the person is actually listening to you. General mindfulness, the little things you don't really notice if you don't pay attention. Pushing a chair in after sitting in it, asking questions and being involved with you. You can learn a lot about somebody by paying attention to how they listen, and having a partner that listens is an absolutely amazing feeling. There is a huge gap between being aware of what you're saying and understanding what you're saying. A good listener is priceless. Someone reading a book you recommend. That's commitment of free time and respect for your word. Pushing a chair in at a public establishment when you leave. When they don't make you feel guilty for occasionally wanting to do things by yourself. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Treating people you don't have to treat respectfully, with respect. I'm currently an Uber Eats driver, and I've found a huge contrast in manner hospitality staff treat me when I'm picking up orders, compared to when I'm a customer. It seems because I'm not a paying customer, service staff seem to think it's okay to treat me like shit. When you're talking with someone and they remember what you're talking about or were talking about at one point. Another one is when they remember that you've done certain things with them and bring it up from time to time. Other than that, it's the normal stuff that shouldn't be overlooked or the little things, I guess. Bangladesh. Edit. I would have never expected this to get a gold, but thank you, kind stranger. Learns the small things about you. Putting the used grocery cart back where it's supposed to go. Treating people and services jobs as equals. Using that weird flashy light on your car before you merge your turn. When someone can admit they're wrong. How they treat ex-partners, although they, exes, did them wrong. No feelings of wanting revenge. One of the reasons I decided to move in with my now boyfriend. Edit. Little clarification. This isn't about shit-talking in private, that's emotional and understandable if something nasty happened. This is about what the person decides to focus on then, and if they deliberately try to destroy and ruin their ex's life. Threatening and stalking and just trying everything to make it extra hard when they just want to move on. And I think this says a lot about a person in general, and about how they deal with rejection and failure. Putting their rubbish in the bin when they leave a place like Macaw's, Hungry Jack's, KFC, fast food places. Like honestly, a child knows how to put their rubbish in the bin. Why are you leaving your rubbish everywhere if you're a grown adult? My boyfriend will sometimes be upset and start a sentence with "well you," and then takes a second and starts over with "I feel." I notice every time and I try and be the same way. Someone who's meticulously careful with a borrowed possession and returns it in pristine condition. Too many people have a cavalier attitude and just presume it's a frivolity, but this solicitous person is grateful and returns it punctually because they know it's their implicit obligation. They care about how you'd feel if something was returned damaged. Good communication. If you can communicate really well with someone, that is huge. Quality communication between two people can be way more important in a relationship than compatibility, and is a huge part of good chemistry. For example, one of my friends has gone on a couple dates with this one girl, and the first date they talked for 3 hours and the second date they talked for 4 hours, but he's not sure if he wants to see this girl again. Like what? When they show genuine interest in you or what you're doing, they listen to you go on and on about shit they don't care about and don't understand because they know you enjoy talking about it. Things normal people do without thinking twice about it because it's fucking normal to don't be an asshole. Giving people the benefit of the doubt and not being so quick to hate and hold grudges. One mistake or one bad day does not define a person. Being honest and vulnerable, especially in men. Smiling when you make eye contact with people briefly. Then you mutually smile back. Some old guy said hey to me while we were passing. That was just magical. Makes me want to do that myself. I noticed once I got into my 30s that all my friends would break up over green flags. Oh, she was doing MYYY dishes. Like, bitch, back off. He was just always asking me how I was doing and trying to be deep, so annoying. She just was too something ig. She got me a birthday card and said I love you. He kept trying to see me every week. Then when I said no, he didn't call me for a whole week. She wanted to date, but she said she also was focused on working 5 days a week. I need a commitment to me. Edit. Okay, a handful of comments about why I am friends with them if these people are so horrible, terrible, selfish, etc. I have worked with many of them for over a decade, and as anyone knows who has held down a long-term job, sometimes you make friends with people, even if they have character flaws, if you see them every day for years. These people all have individually donated thousands of their dollars to local charities, and all have volunteered to help with adopting struggling families, domestic abuse survivors, children's charities, etc. I have watched them pull out hundreds of dollars from their wallet on the spot to help support a coworker who is sick, injured, or just had a child and have to take unpaid time off. Most of them will drop anything they're doing to come and help you if you're in bind. A friend came and towed me 120 miles from where we live. Another not only fixed an exhaust issue on my truck, but fabricated a brand new flow-through and helped install it and refused payment of any kind. People can be selfish, shallow, rude, etc. They can also be incredibly generous and kind at the same time. We all have character flaws. That they don't have a TikTok account. People doing kind or generous things they don't expect praise for, like secret gifts or acts of service. I was told many years ago that when you're on a date with someone and you bring them to your vehicle and let them in the passenger side door, if they lean over and unlock the driver's side door for you, it means they actually care about you. This was of course before automatic door locks were made standard in most cars. Being able to laugh at themselves and otherwise offensive, controversial, or taboo things. Staying calm while driving and not screaming and calling names when someone drives a bit slower. How they treat elderly people. Being okay to tell you that they're nervous or scared. If a guy tells me he's either nervous or scared of something, it usually means that they like you enough to be vulnerable and open up about how they feel. Usually guys get made fun of for being nervous, and even more so for being scared, but I see it as a total green flag. And expects nothing in return. Not looking for likes or cool points. I just realized how sad it is that I hardly see the above these days. And I just realized that my spouse does all of the above. I am a lucky woman. Made grammar edits and figured out bullets. When someone is quick to give credit and slow to place blame. Such a great sign that someone will celebrate other people and acknowledge them, and will be really kind and benevolent when something bad happens. Not being on the fucking phone answering texts or whatever when you go out on a date with this other person. Actually engaging with you 100 of the time. I would understand having to answer a text from a boss or something super important, but it's not the same as constantly checking FB notifications in Whatnot. Edit. WTF, I just decided to make an account after being a lurker for so long. Then all of a sudden I get gold? Lol, hahaha, thank you so much. Admitting when they don't understand something and asking questions about it until they do. A few years ago I was at a party with a friend of mine and another friend of a friend who is a physicist who worked for a startup that produced specialized magnets for quantum computing. My friend asked the startup guy about his work, and he explained it, and everybody else in the room just nodded and acted like they knew what he was talking about, but she said, I don't understand, can you explain that a different way? And he did, and then she kept asking questions for quite a while, and by the end of it, we actually all did understand what his company did, instead of just being polite and pretending we did, and it was super interesting. A couple of people thanked her afterward, basically for having the self-confidence to admit she didn't have any clue what he was talking about, and not being afraid it would make her look dumb, because the rest of us were all content to pretend we knew, instead of actually taking the initiative to find out. I respected her so much for that. I never realized what I was missing until I got with my current GF, it's being able to talk about bad stuff. I had a breakdown and apologized for it. The first thing she told me is to please never apologize for feeling bad. It was such a special thing for me, and when I told people about this, they told me this is how it's supposed to be. Being able to feel bad and not be afraid they'll be any less in love with you because of it. My very first silver. I feel honored. I'm very glad I found this thread, it's helping break the rose-colored glasses for certain people in my life. And a scredded thread that doesn't make me feel like a giant piece of shit? That's a rare one. Kindness to others and helpfulness. The Libyan flag until 2012. Cleaning up after themselves in public when no one is looking. Taking initiative, not being the person in the group assignment that does nothing. Being polite and friendly when they see their exes. Even better? Being polite and friendly with the ex they share parenting with. I've seen way too many people shit-talk the other parent in front of their kids. Honesty early on. When my husband and I started dating, I told him how much I wanted to see a certain movie, and for one of our first dates, he invited me over to watch Zed movie and said he'd make dinner for me. I was a little nervous to go because I figured he'd meant watch a movie. I get inside, he's got pasta cooking, and the movie is all set up and ready on his TV. We ate terrible pasta, watched a movie, and that was the day I decided to keep seeing him, but that I do the cooking. Manners, politeness. Moving their depleted water glass closer to the edge of the restaurant table so the server doesn't have to reach to refill it. He doesn't try and rape you. My 8-year-old saw a shopping cart someone left in a handicapped parking spot and was upset and commented on how rude that was, and what if someone who couldn't walk couldn't park there now. We parked and she walked to the shopping cart and walked it back to the store. I'd say that's a big proud green flag for me, I love her. Asking if you ate today. I know it's super simple, but it shows they genuinely care about you and want you to know you're happy and have a full belly. Or they're planning on eating you. It's a 50-50. Actions that should be considered normal behavior but are considered extraordinary because the bar for society has been set so low. I'm blind so all the flags are just black. Respecting boundaries without being told to respect them. The friendly guy having a normal conversation with you is often the better bet than the guy who is hitting on you. Asking you how you're doing, feeling. It was weird for me to go from a moderately abusive man and not even being bothered by it. It was normal to an amazing man, my husband. He asks me how I am and genuinely wants to know. It's done my mental health wonders to know that he actually cares about me, and it's the smallest thing he could possibly do. And, since he's also a Redditor. Husband, if you're reading this, I love you. The purse grab when the check comes. Little thoughtful gestures. Taking your plate to the sink, as well as his own. Getting you a pop, too, from the gas station, when you didn't even ask. Turning on your music just before you get home.